we've never talked about Cooper Webb's speed. We've talked about his playbook and how he gets it done. I think Hunter is going to have a blend of it all, but I think he's going to win by being a closer.
JB and AC, the energy was awesome. Those two are just like really finding their groove.
4 straight overall wins.
$100,000. Adam Cianciarulla.
Checkered flag and Justin Brady. Has won 2019 Webb Motocross Championship.
He's gonna do it to become the oldest winner in the history of Supercross.
We're back, fresh off of A2, the second stop to Angel Stadium in 3 rounds, and it was a good one. Toughest track of the year, in my opinion, but excited to be back with you guys. AC, you have a good weekend?
I had a fantastic weekend, brother. I'm just glad you made it home.
Dude,
we know that the weather on the
you.
East Coast has not been good. I thought we were going to have to delay this show, but you're back. Give me the rundown. You were just telling me off air, but dude, pretty gnarly.
Oh, it was unbelievable. So those of you know, there's a big storm on the East Coast, or Sunday, really Saturday, Sunday, that there was the biggest storm, ice storm. And so I'm watching the weather the entire weekend thinking, all right, am I going to get home? And Jason Wygant lives in Charlotte as well. So we travel together most of the time. And he was on a red eye out of Los Angeles. He's a big red eye guy. Me, I'm not. I can't do it. I'm not
no
a red
shot.
eye. Yeah, it's tough. So Weege being a red eye guy that he is, I'm like, man, maybe he's going to beat the storm. So I had a flight out of Orange County to Charlotte on Sunday morning. It got canceled on Friday. So that one was toast. That had already been moved to Monday. So I'm like, well, maybe we could beat the storm. I'm just going to go with Weege up to Los Angeles. So I booked a whole different flight, LA to Charlotte, red eye. So we hit Chipotle on after the race right next to Angel Stadium, and then Weege and I head up to Los Angeles Airport. We check in, all is good. We board the plane, and we're like, dude, we're going to do it. We're going to beat the storm.
I love that
We're
feeling.
getting back tonight. This is unbelievable. So we take off, and if you take off, you're like, we're good, totally fine. I'm relaxed. I fall asleep, and the flight left about midnight. So now it's about 1:30 a.m. We're about an hour and a half into the flight. Pilot comes on. Sorry, folks. And remember, like, the whole plane's sleeping, right, at this point. So you wake up, you're startled. Sorry, folks, Charlotte Airport, there was one runway that they were letting folks in, and that's shut down. So we're going to have to turn around, and we're going to go back to Los Angeles.
No.
Yeah, so we turn around. I'm thinking, oh, my goodness, like, this is crazy. And then we're still not landing, though. So now we're like 3 hours into the flight, and the pilot comes on again, and he's like, sorry, folks, we've got too much fuel to land. We're just circling LA. Just up there circling LA.
Jeez.
So, yeah, so we land back in LA, and we're all Seth Rarick was on the flight as well. Mitchell Key, who's part of the AMA, he was on as well. We're all flying back to Charlotte. So we're all scrambling, trying to figure it out. So I Uber back to the hotel that I had on Saturday night. And anyways, ended up getting on a totally different flight to Phoenix, and then we got in late last night, about midnight, to Charlotte. So I didn't think I'd get back, but here we are. We made it back.
Well, we always joke about it because the start of the year, it couldn't be better for me. I'm yet to get on a plane so
Yeah.
far through 3 rounds. It's great, sleeping in my bed every night. But it's about to go the other way. The longer the season goes on, the worse it is to be on the West Coast. So I'm skipping out on the flights for now. But hey, look, before we go any further, we were doing the live commentating for the stadium for the main event, watching the 450 class. And look, a lot of the time, especially at Angel Stadium, not a lot of people can hear us. Let's be honest. They hear a voice, but they can't make out the words. So I'm not sure I even need to cover myself here. But in the left-hand turn, when Kenny went down, I could only see the backside of the turn. And I saw Prado come up the inside, and then I see Kenny on the ground. And I've watched a lot of dirt bike racing in my life. I was pretty dang sure that Prado cleaned Kenny out. But I text Ken after the race saying, what happened? I saw Prado get into you, and he said, what? ? So, Jorge, I'm sorry, but I basically was like, Jorge just took Ken Roczen down. And that did not happen at all. So I think I owe Jorge dinner or something. Bad move on my part, JB. Rookie move. Can't be doing that.
Well, I'm going to have to text or call about 16 people that I told Jorge cleaned out Ken. So I'm going to
Yeah,
have to kind of get back in my Rolodex of text messages or
I let
calls.
you down.
Yeah. No, I'm kidding. I did mention it to Ouija. I was like, hey, I'm not sure what happened to Ken, but maybe he got taken down, but I'm not sure. So,
That's awesome.
yeah. Yeah. But did you see, how about off the start? Kenny got all wild. Like he
Well,
nearly
he
went
locked
down.
bars. He
Yeah.
locked bars with Chase. I saw that. And you know what? Growing up, or I mean, in the early part of my professional career, it was myself, Chase, and Ken. We were like the three musketeers, dude, all in the same training program, riding together. I don't know the status of Chase and Ken's relationship right now. They used to be boys, and I haven't talked to either of them about this, but I haven't seen, I don't know, I just haven't seen them bro down a lot recently. So maybe we just put Ken on the spot, be like,
I was
what do you
gonna
think of
say,
Chase?
yeah. Should we? Should we just
Yeah.
just ask
But
him right here on the show? Yeah.
yeah, Ken did a decent job salvaging through the
He did,
field.
yeah.
We'll talk to him here in a bit.
Yeah.
But 250 class, JB, Hayden Deegan, man, he's on
He's
a roll.
good.
What's crazy to me on a track, and we're going to get into the track, is the hardest one of the year. It was fast in areas, tight in areas, technical, a lot of ruts. What is so cool to me about Hayden Deegan is that aggressive, super high intensity riding style, and I've said this from pretty much day one of his professional career, but how he is able to translate that aggression and intensity to tracks that are very technical and easy to override, I don't get it. I really don't get it. And I think, I guess that's just what happens when you're great. Not everybody's supposed to understand, but man, he's been impressive.
You give Hayden Deegan some traction, a little tackiness in a corner, and you're going to see how fast you can go through that corner. It's unbelievable.
And it's like a photo shoot. It's like a photo shoot in the main event, dude. He makes a pass, and then it's like you would think Ash Hodges, Dirt Sharks out there, like right on the face of the finish line because, dude, he's just throwing it upside down mid-main event.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, if you give him any sort of traction, he is absolutely unbelievable. And if you think of if there's any weakness, it would be on really hard pack conditions where he can't get that aggressive. I'm sure he's gotten better at that. We've yet to see it. Maybe we see it in Glendale. I'd say that's probably going to be the most hard pack of the season. But yeah, he was impressive, man. He was the best guy once again, fastest in qualifying, won his heat race pretty easy, and really won the main event. Just sat back. Honestly, kind of maybe the most veteran Hayden Deegan ride we've ever seen as far as just sitting behind Mosiman, biding his time, and then, all right, now it's time to go. About 3/4 of the way through the main event, take off, win by almost 10 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a whole lot more we can say about Hayden because everybody knows how good he is. And I think, man, from a championship standpoint, it's not over, but it's pretty over. It's pretty over.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I mean, the next few weeks are so important. And the hard thing is, now we don't know fully the status of Levi Kitchen. I think he's going to be back. Sounds like he just got a little stinger in the elbow. Don't know the status on Chance Hymas. And the reason I mention those two is because if you think about guys like Mosiman or Anstey, they're going to need those guys to get in between them. And when we started the show and we were talking about previewing, and then even after Anaheim won, I think we both agreed that this championship would come down to the showdowns. Who can win a showdown and get Davies and Hammaker and those guys in between the West Division riders? And now I just don't see that. I don't see, I'm not sure on Hymas. Like I said, can he come back? I do think Kitchen will be back. We're going to get into that. I mean, geez, no one thought the series would start like this for Levi Kitchen. But I just don't see guys getting in between Hayden and if Max wins another race or if Mosiman can get up there and win, does Hayden get a fourth again or fifth? I think it would take him going down in the first turn or take a big mistake. And I don't know if I see that from Hayden right now.
let's talk about Levi Kitchen. Because we've been talking during the week in our production meetings and stuff. Like from a riding standpoint, I've said this since Anaheim won. From a riding standpoint, I think he's close to the best he's ever been. Like some of his rides through the field, last to sixth, last to fourth in San Diego. But he had a kind of a weird day on Saturday, did that front flip in the heat race, which was the fact that he was able to stay attached to the motorcycle while he did the front flip, quite literally saved him, 100%. Saved his entire season.
Yes.
So it wasn't a save, but it was kind of a save, the way he was able to stay connected to the bike. But he gets up from that, and then again, had my eyes locked on him on the start of the 250 main, kind of started to lose the back end. Then it hooked up. He shot into traffic, and that's all she wrote. But if you're Levi, and we've been here, you and I have been here many times, I'm sure. It's like it's easy to question. It's easy to question if you've been doing the right things. It's such a difficult place to be in for him because I imagine he's got a lot of doubts right now. He's probably questioning himself a fair bit, like we do, even if it's irrational and for a short period of time. But what do you do if you're Levi? Like what is he doing wrong? Or is it just dirt bike racing and stuff happens?
Oh, it's a good question because honestly, he's not doing anything wrong. That's the hardest part about racing is sometimes there's a little bit of luck involved. And, you could say, well, I should be getting better starts. But if you think about San Diego, he's rolling around the first turn, top 3 or for sure top 5. This one, he's around the outside. He's going to come out for sure inside the top 10. He's going to be fine. Well, maybe he should be hole shotting. Okay, you could have an argument for that, but that's not super realistic. So honestly, I don't know, Adam. I mean, like you said, we've both been there, and the only thing you can do is go back to the drawing board on Monday morning and just get back to work. You have to have such a short-term memory. But now, I mean, he's so far out of the championship, that's not happening. So you just have to start to win races. But I don't know. It's so difficult to even, talk about it because he's doing a lot of things right. And, you've trained with his trainer, Peter Park, and he spends a lot of time with Chase. And he's doing everything right off the bike.
Yeah.
You just know he is. He's got a great team behind him. There you see him doing that front flip, which was just crazy that he escaped it the way he did, which Hymas almost crashed there as well. There was another guy during the heat. We believe it was Brandon Ray. He crashed there as well. So there was obviously, which we're going to get into it, talk a little bit about the track and the track conditions. But if you're Levi Kitchen, you just got to get back to the drawing board and continue to work on your starts and continue to do your thing. He's clearly got the speed. But I do want to get into the Monster Energy Pro Circuit Kawasaki's, the bikes. And you're obviously very close with Mitch but I don't know, AC. I don't know if the bikes are on the level with a couple others out there, and mainly from a suspension and chassis department. Now, you and I, there's a whoop section right there. Up above the whoops, that's where our booth was. And all day long, we could watch the rear end of these motorcycles go through the whoops. And in my opinion, I want to get your opinion on this as well. The Pro Circuit bikes, compared to the Star bikes and Hymas's factory Honda, were not as good through the whoops. And the only reason I say that is because whoops have been a factor this season. Like if you're good in the whoops, you're going to get some good results. Now, this past weekend in particular, the most critical section of the track was getting the triple after the whoops. But in my opinion, their bikes didn't get as good of drive as the other bikes, which made the triple harder, which then you know how it goes. Then the rest of the track is more difficult. And McAdoo and Kitchen are both great whoop riders. So I'm not really questioning the way they go through the whoops. I'm sort of questioning the bike a little bit, AC. I don't want to do it yet, but the bikes aren't as good through the whoops as the other guys that they should be racing for the wins.
I agree with you. 100%, JB. I think, look, Cameron has always been, Levi too, but Cameron especially, has always been so good in the whoops. That's where he makes up so much of his time. He comes in really fast. He's strong on the bike. And on a 250, like the way that Cameron hits whoops on a 250, I wouldn't recommend doing something like that on a 450 because Cameron is strong and he gets over the back of the bike and he kind of holds the rear of the bike down, which it's hard to explain exactly, but it's something you can do on a 250, very hard to do on a 450. But Cameron makes it work. He comes into the whoops very fast, and I've seen the same thing you have in terms of the bike for Levi and for Cam. I don't see the same amount of forward drive in the whoops. And I don't technically for both Levi, because I've looked at it from every angle I can, for Levi and Cameron, there's not a whole lot I would change with the technique, the entry speed, and all that. But it's definitely something these PC guys, Mitch, I'm sure they're grinding, trying to figure it out as we speak. But they're definitely losing a bit there. And they've got to figure that out if they want to win races. But I do quickly, before we move on, I want to make this point about Levi Kitchen, and this could be out to any, up and coming racers listening to our show, anybody in any sport, really. It's a perfect case scenario. It's a perfect example of hard work not guaranteeing you success. And just in our culture, especially in America, you scroll social media, you see all these guys talking about, being married to the game, grinding, doing the work. The harder I work, the luckier I got. Things like that. And there are aspects of that is true. The best of the best figure it out. Regardless, the best of the best do that. But in life, you will, and everybody, even the greats, have had these moments. In life, sometimes you can do everything correct. And when it comes time to perform, you can crash in the first turn 3 times in a row. Like, things just happen. And I think the message here is keep working hard. Don't get discouraged by the lack of results. But don't think that doing everything right, doing all the work, makes you deserving of anything. Mm-hmm. We are not entitled to anything in life and sport and anything. So I think that's that's a good point, I think, to make. You mentioned it. He does all the work. He's got Peter Park in his corner. He's done everything right in the off season, but sometimes it just doesn't work out. JB, and you just got to put one foot in front of the other, keep it moving.
Yeah, well said. Well said. As is not
but
only
I agree.
sport, just life in general, right? Sometimes you get knocked down. You do it all right. Well, actually, prime example, Benny Bloss was on Race Day Live with us this weekend, and he's like, man, I felt so good. The bike's so good. Everything was dialed. The last 3 months have been amazing. And the first lap on press day, he's down and breaks his wrist.
Brutal.
It's like,
just
you've got to be kidding me. So
just the sport.
Another example.
Yeah, that was just on my mind because we're kind of getting on a tangent here a little bit, but we had talked to some of the SMX Next kids on Friday, and that was really the first time I heard the Ryder Malinowski story, which was an insane one. Maybe we can get into that a little bit later. But then, of course, he had a big crash, got together with another guy in the opening lap, the first start of the SMX Next main. So just in general, kids, work hard, but work hard because you love what you do. Don't work hard because you think it's going to guarantee a win. It's basically what I'm saying. But I do agree, back to your point, PC's got to figure it out in the whoops.
Yeah.
Do you see anything else on the rest of the track?
No, I think it's good on the rest of the track. I mean, you could say maybe the starts, but McAdoo got pretty good starts this weekend.
But
did. I think the whoops, and speaking from personal experience and knowing Cameron McAdoo pretty well, the whoops are the nucleus of everything that goes on the entire lap. If your whoops are good, I'm telling you, it sounds so dumb, but 5 to 8 seconds of the track could define your whole lap time for the minute lap time. And especially if you're a guy like Cameron, I'm not speaking for Levi because I don't know I don't know Levi that well, but I know for Cameron, he's been able to rely on the whoop section for so long, just like I did. And if I was good in the whoops on a weekend, the whole track would be so much better. My turns would be more connected. I'd have more confidence. And especially if a track was like last weekend, where the triple triple was so crucial. If you didn't get that, it was almost a second a lap. And then the turn is slower. And then it just starts to domino affect the entire lap. So they've got to figure it out. They've got two great whoop riders. We could get into a little bit of what we're seeing. For me, when I watch a guy like Hymas's bike or Hayden or Max's or Mosiman's, any of those Yamahas, to me, it looks like the rear end is a little bit taller. And in turn, off every whoop is getting drive. Brop, 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 off every whoop, they're driving forward. To me, the PC bikes look a little bit too low and dead, and it looks like they're robbing power off every single whoop they hit and just get slower. So then your tendency is to get further back on the bike. Both of those guys really tall, long legs, so now their leverage is even further back, which makes the back even a little bit lower, robbing more speed. So that's what I'm seeing. Don't know if that's exactly what's going on, but there's no doubt the bikes are not as good as the other ones that they're supposed to be racing out the front with. No doubt.
I agree. And let's talk real quick about Michael Mosiman, because, dude, solid start for him to the season. I don't think I saw. I knew he would get probably a couple podiums, but talk about a good kid, man. He's a good kid. He's always like, anytime they have a feature with him, he's always talking about playing chess or playing the piano. I think it's cool. He's got his personality definitely stands out in our sport a bit. And dude, it was an impressive ride. Like, I would not have thought before the season started that Mosiman would have been able to hang that long up front. And you were right. Hayden played that really well. He didn't rush the pass. He set it up. He was very patient. But dude, Mosiman was going really fast, and he put a lot of time into McAdoo, Ryder D, those guys. So I've been really, really impressed with Mosiman so far.
Yeah, 2 podiums in a row, top 5 at all 3 races to start, second in the championship. Like, what a season so far, and really no end in sight as far as being off the podium. I guess like we started with, I don't know what Hymas, not sure where he's at physically right now. Can he come back? Same with Kitchen. Kitchen's good.
Yeah, he did say on social media that he would see everybody next weekend. So I think we're okay. Yeah, but that was weird. I mean, Hymas's crash, when you watch that in slow-mo, I don't know. It didn't really look like that big of a hit. The only thing I saw is that the way that he kind of stuck his arm out, I could see a potential shoulder dislocation. I've heard that it is something with his shoulder, but kind of unlucky. I mean, Chance really didn't do anything wrong other than not getting the whole shot. But to see those two guys down early in the main, Kitchen and Hymas, dude, it was kind of a buzzkill. It was hard for me to kind of get back engaged in the race after those two went down.
Yeah. I mean, title contenders, right? I mean, both of them. And how much money would you have put on Levi Kitchen having at least a podium through 3 races to start the year? I mean, I'll bet my house.
Totally.
Like, and it's not happened.
Yeah, you got to think for Levi too. I don't know. Is there a little bit of pride involved in the fact that Hayden, this is his last year in the 250 class? And we imagine Levi, he definitely possesses the skill, if he can stay healthy, to be a factory 450 guy. But this is kind of his last shot at Deegan. Deegan's got it pretty well handled so far, JB. That 250 class, all those guys. Anstey, not the best weekend. What happened to Anstey in the main?
Well, off the start, Kitchen got into him. And then so he was really far back, made some passes. He was up to 6th and cased one of the 3 out of the turns, cased it so bad. I just happened to be watching so for everyone watching and listening, AC and I turned our chairs around. So typically we're watching just a monitor the whole time we're calling to the live audience. the end of last year, we started turning our chairs around at certain stadiums where we could see the big screen because that's what's on our monitor, and we could kind of scan the whole track. So we're just kind of watching different riders, and we can bring up different things, and it's kind of fun. We're watching as fans, but we're also commentating. So that's what we did this past weekend. And I happened to glance to Anstey because I was watching lap times, and he was one of the fastest guys on the track. I'm like, man, he could still get on the podium here. And as soon as I started watching him, he cased his triple so bad, bounced his chest off the bars, and supposedly he mentioned he got the wind knocked out of him and he couldn't breathe for like 30 seconds. So that put him back like 8th or 10th, and then he passed his way back up and almost caught Volan for 5th, but he ended up 6th. So not a good weekend, though. There's no doubt. I mean, especially with how good he's been riding the first two. He needed a bounce back ride to challenge Hayden, just wasn't able to quite get up there and do so.
Is Deegan in his head? I'm kidding. I just wanted to put you on the spot.
I mean, look, a lot of people say it. Deegan's just better than everyone right now.
Yeah,
straight up.
He is.
Straight up. He's just. Yeah. I mean, he passed Max in the heat race, and like I said, if you give Hayden some traction on a Supercross track or a motocross track, good luck trying to run him down. Good luck.
That was the best I've ever seen him look on Supercross. I thought that weeks, huh? Yeah, and he's done it every year, so it's not surprising that he keeps getting better. But he's officially, I knew outdoors, even in 2024, he looked like he was ready for the Premier class. Mm-hmm. But now I can officially put the stamp on Hayden Deegan in Supercross. He's always been elite, but he's elite in Supercross. I can say that now. He's ready to go, the Premier class.
Ready?
He's ready. Stamp it.
The one question mark too was whoops. He's gotten better at the whoops.
He has.
No question. He's gotten better.
He doesn't blow me away in the whoops, but he gets through them really consistent. He's strong on the bike. He's a little more neutral on the motorcycle. The first couple of years of Hayden on Supercross, he would have the tendency, which this is the same for a lot of guys, but he had the tendency to get a little far back on the bike. Yep, just like that. Arms back, and then you put weight on the rear, skipping some whoops, getting a little crazy. We had seen some crashes in previous years, which happens.
Yep.
But the technique is solid. He's been working. He's backing it up. Man, he's backing it up. I know some people have a tough time kind of with his attitude or whatever, but what can you really say? The guy's a superstar. He's ready for the show, dude. Bring on. I can't wait. I want to stay present in the moment, but I can't wait for 2027 Anaheim 1. It's going to be like 2005 all over again.
It is. Absolutely.
I can't wait. Anything else in the 250 class?
Two quick things. When guys like Hymas or Kitchen go out and Max has a bad night, if you can capitalize, if you can be like Ryder D, once again, solid night for Ryder D Francisco. 3rd place, gets on the podium, passes McAdoo late. We've been saying it. This is such a crucial year for Ryder D to have rides like this, to do exactly this, and then be a championship guy next year in 2027. He's doing everything right now. Because I don't think if him and Kitchen start together, or if Anstey gets the whole shot in the main, or I don't see Ryder D on the podium. But these are the moments that you have to capitalize on, and he's doing it. He's absolutely doing it. Shout out to Ryder D, passing McAdoo late. His fitness looks good. Bike looks good. I'm a fan. Ryder D with another podium.
I agree. And for the first time in his pro career, he looks like he's on the offensive when he's on the track.
Yep.
He's always looked like, in my opinion, kind of like he's just trying to get through it a bit, like just a bit defensive, which I understand we talk about it all the time, but the kid's used to winning, and it takes some time to rebound confidence-wise. But I love it. I love the story. Winning a lot as an amateur, coming in, not having the results that he may have wanted, having some injuries, some struggles, but he's back, and he's starting to believe. And that's why, with Hayden going to the 450s after Supercross, you would think someone like a Kitchen or a Hymas or a McAdoo, Like, those are the guys that are going to take over the class. But this is why dirt bikes are so unpredictable. Levi's having a tough run right now. Chance is maybe out again in Supercross. And this is how you get kind of leapfrogged a little bit. We could be, say a couple years ago, it would have been a lock for someone like Shimoda or Kitchen to kind of inherit the 250 class when Hayden left. But Ryder's building something right now. And if he keeps, whether these guys are out or not, if he keeps stacking these chips, accomplishing these goals, and the confidence comes around, come 2027, guys like Kitchen, Shimoda, they're going to have to deal with him. He's good. He's really good.
Yep. Last thing in the 250 class, do want to give a shout out to our sponsor, SKDA. And with the top 5, SKDA's own Max Volan on that Club MX Yamaha, all black bike, black and chrome this weekend.
Was the handbrake black?
Ooh, good question. I don't know if it was black.
I cannot. I wish we had a 10-minute segment of the show where we could just talk about that every week, because it still blows my mind.
Right?
It's like the same as having a thumb throttle. It's like the same craziness level to me.
It sort of is, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So shout out to SKDA.
Throttle.
Making the club bikes look good. If you want your bike to look like theirs, or like Hunter Lawrence's, or like Ken Roczen's, or like Adam Cianciarillo's, skda.com. Get your bike looking fresh. Anything else on 250s, AC?
No.
I'm ready to kick it with Kenny. You ready to kick it?
Yeah, I'm ready to kick it. Let's do it.
Right. Let's kick it with Kenny. Brought to you by Fox. Kenny, thanks for being with us again. I told a story to start the show about how I'm not a fan of red-eye flights. I tried to do one this past weekend. We got halfway across the U.S., had to turn around, go back home, or go back to L.A., then I had to reset. But you were just saying you took a red-eye. So are you a red-eye flight guy? You like to get back home and have the full day?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I thought I was. I've done them in the past where I was completely fine, and it just really depends. Sometimes I can settle in okay and actually go to sleep, but it's just been rough. You think you have a lot of time, but you don't really sleep much, and I got maybe like 30 minutes to an hour or something, but it's just not enough to have full recovery. So yesterday, Sunday, is pretty useless, but it's just a double-edged sword. Like, do you waste all Sunday and get here late and whatnot, or just get home? Like, I don't know. I'm still always trying to figure that out. In the past, I've done them and I've been fine, and I think it just sometimes hits you worse than others. So, but luckily I'm not doing it every weekend, right? Like, I stayed this week or this last week, and then I'm probably honestly going to stay between Glen Helen and Seattle too. It's just, that's a far flight from Florida. So
when do you normally fly in? Are you doing a lot of press days this year, or are you spending more time at home?
Just a normal amount, actually. But nonetheless, whether I have press day or not, I always fly in Thursdays for the most part. I mean, unless it's a quick hour flight, I'll do Friday. But for whatever reason, if I have a decently long flight, I just feel better if I get in Thursday and have the entire Friday to either do a little workout and just kind of get out the yucky feeling a little bit, if that makes sense. And yeah, I usually come in Thursdays anyways, whether I have press day or not.
You mentioned staying in between Glendale and Seattle. What's the California schedule? Like, does Suzuki still have a test track? Do you ride public tracks? And then this past week, did you make many changes being with the team during the week?
No, so my team, they don't really have any test tracks down in Southern California since they're up in Madera, which is quite a bit up north. They have 2 tracks there. We're just not ever really there. And honestly, that was kind of the reason why I sold my place in California too. It just got harder, right, if you don't have private tracks to ride at. And I didn't really have to be there anymore. And that was still the case right now. And a couple of years ago, I stayed in St. George for the West Coast swing. So we kind of planned this how we feel, if that makes sense. It's a lot of effort going over there for all those weeks, and taking the kids. It's definitely a big commitment. And then other years, we're just like, we're not going to do that. We'll just fly back and forth. And now last year I went for a week, and this year I'm kind of doing it in between, right? Since I'm staying another week. So it just kind of whatever floats our boat coming into the season is what we're kind of planning.
So a lot of discussion this week about the track, Ken. It looked, man, it was really, we had some long lanes. It was really fast on the one side, a little tighter by the start, but just the transitions being ruddy, it being fast, had that technical section after the whoops. What did you think of the track? And was it as sketchy as it looked?
Yeah, so I think ultimately the problem with that was that we had rain pretty much all of Thursday afternoon, and it wasn't ever really hard for a short amount of time. It was kind of just there for a few hours, which is usually the best type of rain. It just doesn't get too brutal, and it's an even water job. So then we watched press day on Friday, and the track was really good. They tilt the start straight, and it looked like it definitely was still a little bit wet in some areas, but since it had all day Friday to sit still, and it wasn't like it was really hot or windy, so it's not like the track dries out a crazy amount. I thought it was going to be perfect for Saturday. I believe, I can't confirm this 100%. To me, it looked like they watered it even after press day, and I think that was just unnecessary because it's 10 o'clock in the morning and you go out for your first qualifying and you're basically riding an enduro track. I mean, it was so wet. It was ruddy right away. The actual build was kind of just sketchier. Some sections were really peaky, and just the 3-footers were very knuckly. They were short and steep, and they just unloaded a lot. So if they did happen to water after press day, I thought that was completely unnecessary. It just elevates the risk by 10 times. I feel like when you go on a track that's super rutted and wet, and the overall build is tall and peaky, and it's kind of gnarly to just get into that right away, and like I said, I knew it was going to stay wet all day just because it wasn't hot. We didn't have wind. It was partially cloudy most of the time, and it just made for a brutal track. I mean, I don't know really what the reason is, but you can't help but notice it was 3 races and a bunch of red flags every single weekend. So I don't know, man. To me, it was a little bit too wet. I understand that we want a difference in soil, but we will get plenty of that once we're over on the East Coast anyways,
Yeah, for us on race day live through qualifying, like anytime someone would start a lap, there was almost always mistakes. Like we could not get on camera guys doing 2 laps in a row where they didn't make a mistake. So it looked challenging straight from practice, like you said. But let's talk about your race a little bit. Locked bars off the start, nearly went down on the start straightaway. That was a close one.
Yeah, that one was really quick and violent. Like I said, I had a bit of inconsistency this weekend coming off the grate, like right off the bat. And I didn't get the best of jump. And then, you just kind of, I don't even know, it wasn't necessarily a handlebar lockup. I feel like my front wheel got either pulled on the swing arm, the axle. Like, I don't really know what it was, but it was super quick and violent, but I'm glad I saved that one. So right off the bat, I was just so far off the back. And then going down, that was totally on my own. I went high in the berm, and I tried to pop out of the rut. Like I have, first off, practiced a lot, but I've done a lot lately. But I think the rut overall, it had a little kink in it, and it was too deep and too tacky or too wet, I couldn't get my rear wheel out of it. My rear wheel got stuck in it, and I fell over. Luckily, my bike kept running, but everybody passes you in the beginning, right? If you crash halfway through the main or whatever, you may get lucky. You have 1 guy, 2 guys pass you or whatever, but then you can get right back on it. The problem is now, like whether you're in 15th, 10th, you fall in the second lap, you most likely will end up dead last.
When you got up from that crash, which I was talking to JB to start the show, I texted you because I thought Prado took you down because the angle of that berm, Prado came up the inside and then you kind of crashed right as he did. I thought he cleaned you out, dude. So I got that wrong, obviously.
No, it was me. That's why I was like, what are you talking about? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
It was just me. It was a silly move, and it ended up not working out. I'm not the person to tip over like that, but I got really lucky too because I fell on the very top part of the berm and then fell to the bottom. And my handlebar was buried in some pretty solid soil. But the good thing was, like, I don't ride the stock bar mounts. I ride engineering ones, and they are so much better than what I had a couple years ago because my front wasn't, it may have been ever so slightly off, but as soon as I took off, and I'm like, okay, I can deal with this, no problem. It was out of my mind, like right away, which was awesome. And I could just focus on, I got used to it right away and focused on racing instead of, riding around with a bar that's completely crooked. It makes it a lot harder, especially when the track's grabby and ruddy, right? So I got lucky on that one.
Yeah. Do you have, like, you crashed, you got up, you went, I don't know how much you read your pit board, but in that moment, for people that are, that haven't raced, in that moment, you get up, you go by the mechanics area, you get an idea of where you're at. Did you have a goal in your mind of what place you wanted to get back to? Or is it just completely focused in the moment, not thinking about it at all?
For me, I didn't think about it at all. I'm like, yep, I got to go all the way till the end, pretty much. And I didn't really have to look on the pit board the first lap I came around, because I knew that there was really not anybody behind me. Having said that, for me, reading the pit board is actually a lot easier when you're in the back, or at least when you're off the very, very back, just because I wasn't necessarily close to anybody, so I knew when it was my pit board. And then I actually kept in touch with it a lot more throughout the main event than, say, if I'm first, second, third, like somewhere around there. 80%, 85% of the race, I don't look at the pit board at all because I'm so locked in. I'm just going. And especially when you're in battles, you know how it is. You got 3-4 pit boards hanging out. Like, it's really hard to pinpoint where you're at, especially where they're positioned most of the time. The mechanics area is not necessarily the most visible spot, and I understand it's hard to find one on every track. So I knew where I was at from then. And but I also knew, so goal-wise, no, it's just damage control, but I wasn't really like, man, I got to go up there. I just more so knew that it was going to be a lot harder once you crack into the top 10s. It's a lot harder to pass. You may be able to get close to them, but then making a pass is a whole nother ball game that you have to achieve, right? And for whatever reason, the track was extremely tricky, borderline dangerous in some areas, but very technical. And it was kind of wild to see that throughout the entire day that there was not much separation. You would think that with a difficult track like that there was a lot more little mistakes going on, meaning you'll have more gaps, but it was actually the complete opposite. Have you noticed that? The couple of weekends before, it was technical, but it wasn't quite as ruddy as it was this weekend. And it seems like the gaps were a lot bigger, even in practice,
Yeah, it was interesting. You mentioned getting into the top 10. What'd you think when you caught that pack from 6 to 12? I mean, those guys are absolutely going at it, and then you catch them. Like, you go through the Nichols, Justin Hill, Marchbanks, you get through those guys, Christian Craig, and then you catch the back end of Malcolm Stewart, Ferrandis, Hampshire, Jay Coop, Savachi. Those guys were absolutely going at it, back and forth, back and forth. You catch that group. What'd you think when you caught them?
I mean, honestly, it should tell you enough when you mention the names. Any one of those guys on any given day are at least in the top 3 when it comes to qualifying. So, when you catch up to that pack, it's like, that's what I mean by it is one thing to close the gap, but then you have to make the passes happen. And that is a task that stands on its own. So I knew when I got back up there that it was going to be tough, but at the same time, with having all of those riders in one spot, anything was open from 12th to 5th in a sense, or at least 6th. So, but then, passing RJ, passing Malcolm, and even Dylan, like, they're ripping, so I'm not just going to blow their doors off or get by them immediately. So I just knew I had to go to work, and I tried to do the best that I can. And actually, I got close to, I think Prado it was, but I still had 1 or 2 riders in between me and him. So then once he got into, I believe he was 6th or 7th, 7th, I think, he just opened up a gap a little bit, and I still had a rider or 2 to pass. So he just opened up ever so slightly of a gap. So once I got by them and I ended up in 8th, there was just no, I had 2 laps to go or so, and they were 5 seconds or so ahead. So it would have been really hard to close that gap. But nonetheless, I mean, in 8th, it's not ideal, but I also got a little lucky that, Eli didn't win, because that would have been a big point swing, right? You got to keep that in mind. So all in all, with how the day, or not the day went, but how the night show went results-wise, I got kind of lucky, and I'm not too far behind. So I'm just going to, there's nothing really to freak out about. We just work on starts and just put ourselves in better positions to where you can eliminate some of the risks that you run into back there.
So you weren't too, I mean, you've had such a great start to the year, been on the podium both times, first and second round. Obviously mistakes happen. You come off your 8th. What is it difficult? Is it difficult for you? Were you mad at yourself for making a mistake, or was it like, dude, it's dirt bike racing. It is what it is. On to the next.
Little bit like that, like it's dirt bike racing. Of course, you know, you get that flash of like, you got to be kidding me. You know, I was already off the back. I'm like, man, this is going to be a long main event. But I think that's just part of having that mindset of like, not too high, not too low. I just knew I had to go to work. And so I wasn't pissed off. I wasn't freaked out or anything. I just put my head down and more so looked at it as a challenge, to be honest. And I think that, yeah, like I said, it's just part of keeping that little bit of a steadier mindset. You know, it is what it is. It's things happen, right? You can throw your championships away a lot worse. So we just, a lot of racing to go. We just got to keep going. It can happen to anybody at any given day. So yeah, out of sight, out of mind after the races, before the race.
There was a moment during that race, and we talked about, I believe it was a heat race at Anaheim 1 where you almost come into Sexton. You guys kind of hit in the air. But you're one of the best. When you get a little bit off tilt in the air, you'll put one leg off and kind of like recorrect the bike. Do you remember the time through the whoops off that 3-3, you veered to the left, basically landed on the side of the tough block? Shout out to all the new tough blocks. They're awesome. They're great. I think we all agree on that. But do you remember that lap? Like you literally went way left, almost off the track, stick your right leg out, adjust your bike like it never even happened.
No, I 100% agree. The tough blocks now, I mean, there was multiple times in the main event where I jumped into a tough block or graced it. And I think just the new angle of them, it really does work out, because I think I would have been dead in the years past. So I know exactly what you're talking. Me and RJ, we were actually talking about that on the flight home. He was on my flight. And he was like, dude, because I told him, I said, I jumped on a tough block, and he was right behind. That's during the battle that we had. You know, I think I may have just passed him or something like that. And I jumped, to the left. And that was a sketchy area anyways, because in the main event, that set of whoops, I hit them. I kept going outside, and I hit them pretty damn fast. And towards the end, the third to last and the second to last, they were almost gone. And then you had the last one that was still normal size. So when you were blitzing them, they were coming up so quick that it was so easy to miss those two. And then you hit the last one and you jump full on into that takeoff. That was a little bit tricky. And sometimes I hit them so fast that I didn't even throttle it very hard afterwards, but I almost quadded that section and jumped into the face of the next one. So it was a really hard one to time. You know, that 3-3, the landing of it was what we call a banana, right? Like it wasn't a full legit transition. And then when people were going double, it kept beating down a little bit. So the takeoff just got a little bit lower and lower, but yet the ruts were still there. So it just got shorter, really hard to do. You almost want to over jump it a little bit and sit into it. And then you're able to clear the next one with a little bit of pop. But tricky section. Yeah, not one. Very high speed too, for it being whoops and a triple. So landing on those tough blocks. Yeah, the fact that they're a new design, that definitely will save a bunch of riders, I feel like.
What section to me looked low-key kind of difficult is after the sand, you went outside. Right. A lot of guys were going outside and going 3 and then double over the start straight. Dude, those pockets looked so small and steep.
They were.
Guys were overshooting, undershooting all night long. It was crazy.
Yeah, that was a really tricky section. And I actually talked to Levi about that one, because when you 3 right there, they were kind of 4-footers, but they didn't really have much of a plateau whatsoever. You know, most of the time that you'll have a little bit of roundness, but they were very, very peaky like this, almost kind of like what we would call a spine. So the difference between casing something or over jumping something was pretty much nothing. And it was soft in between. You're taking off in ruts again. And then because the transition was so tight, there's not a whole lot of momentum you can generate in between. And it pops you up more than it makes you go forward. And the gap jumping over that start turn was actually, you know, for it being a jump like that, it was quite long. So, I mean, if you hit it right, you can definitely over jump that into the turn, but it just was, it was a low key, I agree, very tricky section just because it was tight and peaky and soft. And I actually, as soon as we could, I did go 3-2 all day, but then in the main event, I ended up, just because I had people in front of me that went inside, I actually made a couple of passes happen there just by sneaking up the inside and kind of taking the line away. So I kept sticking to the inside. It wasn't necessarily the fastest though, I think.
Speaking of Levi, we know you guys ride together all the time. You're sort of a mentor to him. Where are we at? You said you talked to him today. I mean, what's mentor Ken Roczen telling student Levi Kitchen today? What are we saying?
I mean, no matter what way you put it, it's a tough pill to swallow. He is riding great. He's fast, and he's come from the back. pretty much every single weekend. I mean, just to see him down, I already lost my mind last weekend when it was the second weekend in a row, in San Diego. And then third weekend come around and you just, there's just no way. I wasn't thinking about him going down again. And sure enough, he's just laying there. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. So at this point, I think he, when things happen in the start turn, anything can happen. I think he got bumped in the elbow a little bit and it makes your hand go numb. It's kind of like the funny bone nerve. And yeah, it took a little bit to recover from that. But I think overall he's definitely fine. But I'm like, man, you have, this has been 3 times. You DNF this race. Like there's really nothing. You have nothing to lose anymore. Don't go out there and lose your mind and try to, go overly aggressive and really hurt yourself. But in general, there's really nothing to be worried about. Everything has kind of gone to crap for him, unfortunately. But that's how these things work sometimes, because I've been in the same boat too, where you can't believe what just happened to make it go the way it go. You know what I mean? So I think now you just got to go out, do your thing after the races, before the race, like I said before, and pressure should be off. There's really nothing championship wise that you can do in this short of a season,
Yeah. Did you guys see his Instagram? It's perfect. It's a picture of him
upside
down. That's great.
And then the crash in the heat race too was brutal for him, right? Like that could have gone a whole lot different.
Well, we've all been in a similar situation, and what's so difficult about those types of mistakes is like, what is he actually doing wrong? Right?
I think just the fact that besides the one in the heat race, every single one of the starts that mattered the most throughout the entire day is a main event start. And when something happens there, you're so close with anybody. I mean, it can go from tipping over, being fine, getting up and getting on the podium, to you go down and you hit a lug with your elbow, or, you hit a foot peg. Like that happens so quick. You land on somebody else's bike. Bikes are hot. I mean, some of those things you just absolutely can't control. Once they go wrong, you're just basically along for the ride and you sit and wait and see what happens. So ultimately, I mean, man, you got to get off the gate, but I'm not the one to talk because I didn't do it this weekend either, right? Like if you would just be upfront more, I think you just eliminate bumping into people.
This is why it's a love-hate, folks.
It is. You're right
here.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Ken, last thing for me, Triple Crown this weekend in Houston. No secret that it's one of your strengths. You're one of the few guys to sweep a Triple Crown. That one in Glendale was unbelievable. So what's your thoughts on the Triple Crown format, and do you do anything different this week? Do you kind of replicate that format, or do you just stick to your business as usual?
Usually, yes, that is the case. When we lead into a Triple Crown weekend, you kind of run through your program, see where you're at. But to be honest, like I've just been trying not to overthink that, not go in it any different way than I do the other weekends, just because all these off-season races that I or most of the guys nowadays do, they all have that format. So it is anything but four. And I remember the first year when we started this, right? Like I haven't done much overseas racing, and then I think most of the field haven't really been messing with it. So you come in and it's different, but I just feel like, I'll go to the gate and I've done so many of them. I mean, we only have 3 in Supercross throughout the year, but if I count in all the off-season races over the last few years that I've done, and they all have the same format. So I'm just going to do my thing, see how I feel when I hop on the bike. Also, I want to be mindful of, we are going into round 4, and I have been putting in a lot of motos over the last few months. So it might be time for me also to kind of like take a little step back and maybe focus on recovery a little bit more than constantly doing what I say you would normally do when you're when you get in the season going, you haven't done a whole lot of off-season races or whatever, you may have to put in a little bit more motos. But I think it'd be good time for me to kind of just see how I feel, focus on my recovery maybe a little bit more, and maybe back the riding down a little bit, especially leading into a Triple Crown, just because it might not, you are cutting the races shorter than what a normal main event would be, but they are, like a Triple Crown night is just harder than what a normal night is. So full tank going into the weekend with a full tank will help.
What's it like for you on a Triple Crown weekend? How's your race day routine different? Because, I mean, for the night show, in between the main events, do you eat in between? because that was
Well-
always so difficult for me.
Yeah, the eating in between, it's not necessarily difficult for me for an appetite standpoint, but you don't really have a whole lot of time in between. And usually I try to get my fueling in the days leading up to it and or until the night shows start. So I think if you time your lunch, dinner, whatever it will be, I actually haven't seen a schedule yet for this weekend. But in between, it would be something very light for me. Like I'll definitely have some carbs and some protein in a drink, and then maybe nibble on a bar a little bit, a banana here and there. But for the most part, like I hope that my body is fueled enough to where the time in between, you just kind of need a little bit of maintenance stuff, nothing crazy.
Did you guys ever get on the spin bike in between the Triple Crowns? Because I've seen guys do that in the past.
Mm-mm.
Like almost like keeping the body active in between.
Yeah, I have not, honestly. It's not necessarily a terrible idea. I just don't know how it would be to, you're basically doing a cool down, but it's not coming to an abrupt stop, So I think it's definitely not a terrible idea. I have usually, depending on where you land too, because if you end up being somewhere on the podium and you have to do an interview, there's not much time in between. So I'm most likely not hopping on a spin bike. You know what I mean? I'd rather get my legs up a little bit and replenish some fluids and stuff, just because before you know it, you get back dressed and you have to go down there,
I would always run a 5K in between.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
got
that
about,
sounds
what
about
is it,
right.
20, 30 minutes. So if you 25 minute or so for a 5K should be easily doable.
Unbelievable. Do you shave too, JB? In between?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
This guy,
Well,
man.
Some intervals, standard.
Unreal.
Man, back in the day, I kid you not, when I was a little younger, I would definitely do a warm up, like even before all the practices. But I've done this, or we, done this
Yeah.
for so long that like I feel like I can get right into it and be ready for it. Where I don't know, back in the day, I swear to you, I was skiing probably a 5K throughout the entire day. Back in the Peter days, for sure. 3K
Oh, yeah.
warm up, and then it's easily accumulated another couple K throughout the night. Easy.
Dude,
You're saving the carbs.
I would always start the morning at the hotel. I'll do a 25-minute run with 3 or 4 1-minute intervals, like sprints. And then like shower and get to the track, do track walk. And then I'll do a 20-minute row with like 3 1-minute intervals. It's so dumb.
That's so dumb.
You did?
Yeah, always
Who
Like a
runs?
20-minute row before the night show?
no, before the practice, like to get fully warmed up. Because I was always, my first
Oh.
practice was always terrible. I was terrible first practice. I'd get arm pump. And when I started doing that, like when I started mountain bike racing a lot, their warm-ups are like crazy before a mountain bike race. So then I just started doing similar warm-up for moto. And honestly, like I was fine. Like 11,
It
12,
worked for you.
13, 14. It was fine. But yeah, when I
mean-
think back on now, I'm like, what was I doing?
No, I agree with that, because before I go riding, I obviously do a warm up here too in my gym, and I'm definitely a fan, and I've done that for years, to definitely have some really short, intense pickups. I don't necessarily know if I would go a minute, mine are
yeah.
usually 5 to 7 seconds, kind of like a close to max effort, you know what I mean? Just to spike it a bit, but not enough to have a big strain on the muscle or anything. But no, I agree. There's a big difference between going up, warming up, and every time you start, it's just like it's burning and it's just not the most fun. But once you kind of push through that and it gets a little bit more intense, you just so much more opened up.
Dude,
Yeah.
if I did a 5K, right, any of my last, call it 3 years racing, if I did a 5K in the morning at the hotel, somebody would have to carry me around track walk. I would be in one of those, my mechanic would get one of those forward, those little baby backpacks, and I'd just be sitting there running around, because
Oh,
I did
that's
that.
funny.
I'd have to have ice on the knees. I'd have to get an adjustment, get the hip moving. I don't know, guys. You're nuts.
Funny.
I think I would be okay with it, just because I do so much, or I have been doing so much running lately that I don't get sore from running anymore,
Yeah.
whether I do sprints or not.
Must be nice. Well, Ken, hey, it wasn't the perfect weekend, but I thought you did a great job salvaging. Round 3, it's early. We're in a good spot. Vibes high. I'm stoked
everything's
with where
golden.
you're at.
It's a bummer to kind of have one of those weekends early on, if that makes sense. But these things happen sometimes, It can.
They do.
Yeah. It is what it is. I'm not too mad about it, honestly, as long as I give it my all and, not terrible for the points. Like we're all good. I'm not too worried.
I think it's going to be a good weekend for the 94. Triple Crown, Houston. You like the dirt? Houston's it's a little bit deceiving there. You like the dirt?
Yeah, for the most part. I mean,
yeah.
When was the last time we've gone to Houston? I don't think we've been to Houston the last couple of years, right?
2021, maybe?
Somewhere around there. So it's been a few years, but it's definitely one of the dirt. Yeah, like you said, you go on it and it looks all perfect, but it can be sneaky slippery for sure.
Yeah. Cool. See you this weekend. Have a good week.
Sounds good.
Thanks,
See
dude.
you guys. Have a good one.
Yeah.
Bye.
And that was Kicking It with Kenny, presented by Fox. I'm good with where we're at. JB, I'm fine with it. In eighth, it could have been a lot worse. I think there's a little part of me that thought he was going to get, when he caught the rear of that pack, I thought maybe he could get up to 7th, 6th, maybe 5th on a crazy night. But like you said, track was a little hairy, decent ride back up to 8th. We didn't lose too many points, and he's a Triple Crown guy, period.
So you're excited for the weekend?
Oh, yeah. I can't wait. Triple Crowns.
Sure.
Triple Crowns are just more fun for
They
us.
are way more fun.
As a racer, they're a little chaotic, but for us, even practices means more. Yeah, I'm stoked.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. Well, let's jump into 450s. Let's unpack the weekend presented by OGO Power Sports. OGOPowersports.com, code ACJB15, ACJB15 for 15% off of your order. And for me, I was glad I was only traveling this weekend with some carry-ons. I'm a big four-wheel guy. All you guys know that.
Oh, yeah.
Put my backpack on that. Carry-on for life. If I had to check a bag this weekend, it would not have been good.
I just ordered an OGO bag. Shout out our guy Pilo. I went 4 wheels. Did you get the same one?
Oh, you're going to be dialed, dude.
Yeah, can't wait. Can't wait.
Yeah.
Factory.
Yeah. Well, one of the biggest storylines of the weekend, Chase Sexton, man. Chase Sexton got his first win of the year. And maybe more importantly, got his first win for your guys over there at Kawasaki in a long, long time. And I will say, before we really break it down and unpack it, seeing Rango in tears.
Awesome.
Rango, Chase's mechanic. I love that. I love to see guys with that much emotion showing how much it truly means to win these races. Shout out Rango, man. Great job. Great job to Chase. Great job to the team.
The more and more I've been around this sport, the more what the mechanics, someone like a Rango, does on a daily basis. The hours that they work, their travel schedule, everything. Dude, they put as much into it as the riders do. So I agree. I love to see some emotion. And for Chase, what a crazy night. I mean, he was unbelievably good. We know when the track is technical, that Chase is almost always going to be good. He looked great all day. Then the heat race comes, he gets to the lead. And just sometimes he just makes these weird mistakes. And I can't assert myself above that in any way whatsoever, because I was that guy at one point, 100%. But there's sometimes like that mistake in the sand. We looked at each other like, how does that happen? How is somebody so unbelievably good and does things that you can't even explain and then makes like a little mistake like that? But I just think obviously he's trying his best. And the mental fortitude, anytime someone like Chase that has as much speed, he's won championships inside and out, he's got a high standard for himself, because there are not a lot of people, maybe 1 or 2 people in the world that can do what Chase can do on a motorcycle. But for him coming in, the plan, of course, was to get Kawi back on top. And I think there's also more pressure there because of the kind of public complaints about the KTM. So anytime you're kind of complaining about the environment, the bike, or whatever, you go to a new team, and of course, all of us are going to be like, okay, are the problems solved? Is this what he really needed to be his best? But the first 2 races didn't go the way he wanted to, even though he rode great in San Diego. And then he has that crash in the heat race, comes out in the main event, and just surgical, solid the whole time. I thought even once how he was able to regroup once Hunter got around him early, he stayed very calm, fell into a good pace, kind of was patient, made a couple good passes. And once he got to the lead, to me, he backed it down. And he basically said that on the podium. He said, oh, I rode around or something along those lines. But you could tell that he definitely was not all out up front. So I thought the way that he rebounded, not only from the first 2 races, but the heat race, to me, it was very impressive. And, dude, if he can find a way, I don't know, we could have this conversation for hours and hours about what exactly it is. But if he can find a way to eliminate just half of the mistakes, it's so hard not to think that he's the favorite for this title. That's the only thing keeping it from me saying he's got this. Because when Chase Sexton is on and he has a great day, wins the main event, you watch him ride, and, dude, there are not a lot of weaknesses in his game.
Don't forget about that practice crash.
Oh, yeah, practice crash too. You're right.
That was a big one through the whoops.
Yep.
So
Well, yeah.
you're totally right about the mental fortitude, because I put myself inside that helmet. And if I had that big crash in practice and then I'm winning the heat and make that mistake again, my main's probably not great. That's why I'm not Chase Sexton.
No. I mean, talk about that a little bit, JB. How difficult is it in that moment to keep your head?
Yeah.
To be confident, to not change the program, to stay in your normal process. It is unbelievably difficult, and it's unbelievably difficult even if he didn't have all the external factors of going to a new team, trying to get Kawi back on top, all of that. Dude, it's hard.
Yeah. We talk all the time about moments throughout the day that create momentum, like especially on Race Day Live. Like, I'm a big believer in, man, it starts right here, like first qualifier. That, to me, and I'm only just talking about me, I'm not sure how you were. We've talked off camera about it, but I feel like you were that way as well. Like, get the momentum started early, and then you just get the train rolling down the tracks, and it's like the rest of the day goes good. For Chase, man, to start the day like that, and then now he was fastest, which is awesome, but to really end the last qualifying session of the day with a crash, having to pull off, your bars are bent up.
You'd rather be fifth.
Been pretty good. We haven't talked about that. I don't know if he was sore or not. I haven't heard, but to end it like that, then come out in the heat, riding amazing. He's riding away, and then you make a mistake in the sand, just lining up, man, or even just going back to the truck to your guys. You're just like, I would just be hanging my head like, I'm sorry, guys. Like,
yeah,
I'm sorry.
For real.
So to redeem himself like that, to get out front with some pressure. But I don't know, man. I disagree on the championship thing. AC, I disagree on the championship thing.
Oh, yeah?
He's not my favorite right now.
Who's your guy?
Not my favorite. Well, first, this is going to lead into it. I'm going to do a little impromptu segment here, but Firepower, one of our sponsors here, firepowerparts.com. Look, we all know about how great their batteries are, but 2026, their product line is going to be growing big time. They've got chains, sprockets, controls, wheels, stands, gas tubes, you name it. Go to firepowerparts.com. We appreciate their support. But my hot take, my fire take of this show.
Wow. Very Gen Z of you.
Hunter Lawrence is the championship favorite now, is my championship favorite. Hunter Lawrence is a problem for these guys.
Wow.
He's a problem, Adam.
Hey, man, I know it. You don't have to hype Hunter Lawrence up to me, because
Okay.
I'm about to start an Instagram fan page for the guy. You know me, I'm a big Hunter Lawrence guy, but championship favorite is crazy.
Favorite.
If he had won so far this year, because I'm on record saying that if Hunter could get a win early in this series, say the first 5-6 races, I do think he's a championship contender, but he's got to get the lid off first. JB, he's got all the tools, dude. He was the last 2 weekends A1. He was not very fast out of the gate the first 5 or 6 laps. But the last 2 weekends, he kept Kenny behind him in San Diego for a while. He passed Kenny this weekend in the beginning. And even on the podium after, talking to JT, he owned it. He's like, dude, I got to be faster at the beginning still. But he's aware of these things. He's taking accountability for it. And I do think that's a bit of a hot take, the fact that he's the favorite, because we've got Eli Tomac right now who's been riding unbelievable, another podium this weekend. But I do agree that he is a championship contender. I'll give you that for sure. The favorite, might have to have some of our listeners weighing in the comments on this one, but that is a hot take. I'll respect that.
You know how he wins it? I'm saying it right here. He wins the championship with 2 wins.
Come on.
And just is a podium killer. Just podium after podium after podium. And here's why I say that. Because now that we're part of the broadcast, we get a ton of stats. Shout out to We Went Fast, Clinton Fowler, Brett Smith over there. We get a ton of stats. And it's kind of fun because we're like, really, what does that stat mean in the long term? What has it meant over the past 20 years? Like, it's kind of fun to nerd out on that. And the biggest key stat, and you know where I'm going with this, is pretty much every championship winner at the end of Supercross has the lowest average first lap position of anyone on the starting line. Cooper Webb had it last year, wins the championship. And I would lay down a lot of money. If Hunter stays healthy, he will have by far the lowest first lap average. And that, look, he's probably not going to reel off 8 or 9 wins. Chase probably is going to reel off a lot more than 1. Chase is going to reel off some wins. But I think Hunter is going to be on the podium nearly every single weekend. And I think his first lap position is going to be better than everybody. And I think he's going to continue to get better. And here's when this shifted for me this weekend. When he passed Eli Tomac with authority like he did, that told me everything I needed to know. I pushed all my chips in that moment.
Wow.
All my chips went into the middle of the table.
That's crazy. But
that's crazy.
you know what? One of the things I do love about Hunter and just his journey. You were there. You were there when every time he went out on a Supercross track, he broke his collarbone. I remember the same dragon back at the Honda track. I think he broke his collarbone on the same jump twice.
Yeah.
So the way that he has built himself to this point is very methodical, very smart, very intentional with his technique and everything else. He gets better as the race goes on. The more technical the track is, the more ruts and bumps and everything else that happens at the end of a main event, he gets better. His style lends itself to being good in those conditions. He's going to be good on the East Coast because of that reason. He gets great starts. The only thing keeping him from being, or 2 things keeping him from being a favorite for the title, I think he needs a little more pace, JB. Just a little bit. And I'm not talking about the pace that comes from a full offseason of working on speed. I think the pace that I'm looking to see out of Hunter is going to come off of confidence, off of just being there every weekend. I think we've already seen him be way better from A1 to A2. So I think he just needs to be a little bit faster and kind of have that in the back pocket sometimes to bail him out of tough spots. But in terms of first lap position, being strong at the end of the main event, making good decisions on the racetrack, Hunter Lawrence is definitely in there. He's definitely in there with Sexton, Tomac, Webb, Kenny, all those guys. He is officially a player, big time. And these guys, I don't think before maybe even this weekend or San Diego, I don't think the guys that are going out there to win the race, I don't think a lot of them were thinking about going through Hunter Lawrence. They know he's good and they respect him, of course. But I think they're officially on his radar now because it's coming, dude. It's only a matter of time.
Yeah.
And once he gets the lid off the basket, as I keep saying, dude, he could go on a run. He really could.
Yeah.
But
Look, you're starting to come my way. I can feel it.
no,
I can
look,
feel it.
I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of Hunter. We all know that. Love what he's about. I just need to see a little more pace. A little more pace, and I'm all the way there. I'm with you, JB.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we know Webb's going to get it turned around at some point, which I guess let's get into that right now, because that's my
Hold on,
smart.
one last thing on Hunter.
Yeah, hit
Remember
me.
when we were talking about we have yet to see his playbook on how he wins the race? I think we're starting to see it. It's a little bit out of Webb's playbook. He's a closer.
Yeah, hang
I think
around.
I think everyone would tell you, who do you not want behind you with 3 laps to go in a Supercross race? Cooper Webb. You have to put Hunter Lawrence in that equation now. I think that's going to be his playbook. So when you mention speed, we've never talked about Cooper Webb's speed. We've talked about his playbook and how he gets it done. I think Hunter is going to have a blend of it all, but I think he's going to win by being a closer, similar to Cooper Webb. That's going to be scary.
I agree.
That's my last thing.
I agree. My counterpoint to that would be if you get a really good main event out of Chase Sexton or Eli Tomac and they get a good start, he's going to need a little more pace, I believe, in order to track those guys down. That's the only thing, is someone like Chase, he could win 5 races in a row. Eli Tomac could do the same thing. So I just need to see a little more pace before I push all my chips in. But massive, kind of a dream start, really, for Hunter. Besides winning a race, he's done everything right.
Yeah.
What do we see with Eli this weekend? I think he looked good. I think it was a solid performance. I think if anything, I think the track made everyone a little uncomfortable. And as you know, you're a perfect guy to speak to this. You get a little bit older, you know the risk. You're not so comfortable, and you think, well, maybe this will be a good night to just take a third. And that's kind of what it seemed like for Eli to me. He made some kind of aggressive moves early. He actually made a really aggressive pass on Jason Anderson, which you don't see a lot. You do not see a lot from Eli, but he knew he needed to make that move stick, and we know how good Jason is as well. But I think it was just a case of Eli knowing the situation, being a little smart about it.
Yeah, I'm just looking right now because I remember thinking in qualifier 2, we were on Eli quite a bit, which we have been. And every time we've watched him ride, and you've picked up on this a lot, is it seems so repeatable. Like we would have him a lot on Race Day Live when we would show a lap, looks pretty good, looks like he's feeling great, he goes to the top. But it's nothing where you're like, oh my gosh, this lap is going to be unbelievable. Sometimes we watch Chase, we're like, oh my gosh, this is going to be crazy, and it goes to the top. Eli's just seemed like he could do lap after lap after lap, and they were always in the top 3. When we were watching him in Q2 this past weekend, he would throw down a lap, and he would only go to 7th. He'd throw down another lap, he'd only go to 5th. And he ended up, the reason I was looking at my phone is he ended up 7th in Q2. So that told me right there, and a lot of laps we had him on screen make some mistakes, which pretty much everybody was making mistakes.
It was a
but
tough one.
It just didn't look like it came as easy to him. Now, is everyone else getting better? Who knows? But this week, it just didn't come quite as easy. And still think it's good. He mentioned on the podium or in post-race interviews that, look, if somebody told him he could go 1-1-3 to start the year, sign me up.
Every time.
Every single time. So I don't think there's any. Of course, there's nothing to worry about there. So, but yeah, I mean, I was just, like I said about Hunter, when I seen him pass Eli the way he did, I was like, oh, and then I think it proved a point, maybe even to Eli, like, oh, wow, this guy's for real. I need to worry about him.
Yep. You know, the thing I saw with Eli coming off an injury in Supercross last year, getting into outdoors and the playoffs, I don't think he was super comfortable on the bike, hindsight 2020. But what I saw with Eli sometimes last year, even at the SMX last playoff in Vegas, like there was times where it looked like he was doing everything he could and he didn't have enough. He didn't have enough to beat Jet or Hunter in that moment. what I saw this weekend from Eli, it did not look like everything he had. And it really hasn't looked like that all year. And that's what we opened the show, RDL, this weekend, is it is a very repeatable speed. And so you have a weekend like this where I think if I saw the same thing I did last year, where it really just looked like it was everything Eli had and it just wasn't good enough, maybe you worry a little bit. But yeah, I think it was just track conditions were tough. And obviously the guys up front were ripping. So I'm not worried about Eli. I think he's got to be the championship favorite for me still right now.
Okay. Look, I think it'd be amazing. I mean, I would love to see that.
And the way 23 ended, I think everybody, I think everybody is, would be stoked. Even if Tomac's not your guy, you'd still be stoked to see the legend do it one more time, right?
Well, similar to what we were talking about earlier, you're not really owed anything in the sport. You can work your butt off and do all these things right. You're not really guaranteed success. He's owed one, dude. He's owed one. He's owed one. So
he is. Hey,
yeah, I don't disagree.
I'm about to set something in motion right now with my smart top surprise of the weekend here.
Okay.
And I hesitate to even say this because I know what it's going to do. I already know. But my smart top surprise of the weekend is Cooper Webb not getting the train back on the tracks. First,
I'm gonna sit back on this one.
Sit back, because I know what this means. I know this means there's a 99% chance he wins next weekend now that I say this.
Yep.
But I mean, Coop has made a career of being the smartest guy on the racetrack, making all the right decisions, having enough speed to get the job done. And still, with his riding, everything I've seen so far this year with his riding, dude, he's solid. Even this past weekend, he was right there in the top 5, right behind Tomac, and he was hanging with those guys. And it didn't look like he was on the ragged edge or anything, but he did look pissed off. He looked like he wanted some big time. So he's riding great, and I've got no problems with the riding, but just some of these obviously tipped over again on his own. And if it wasn't Cooper Webb, it's probably not a storyline. But because Cooper has been Cooper Webb throughout his career, it's kind of weird. Kind of weird to see him a few weekends in a row. I mean, he got into it. Chase pretty much cleaned him out at San Diego. But this week, again, all on his own, he crashed. I don't know if it's just the pace is so high that he's having to ride a little more on the edge. And then, of course, A1 doesn't go great, and now he feels like he has to make up ground. That can play tricks on you a little bit. But I was a little surprised to not see. I thought for sure I would have bet my house that he would have been on the box this past weekend. So that's my smart top surprise of the weekend. I say that, though, again, I know what I'm doing here, everyone. I know it. Yeah. As soon as anyone starts worrying about Cooper Webb, he shows us who he is. So, again, he's riding great. He eliminates these mistakes. He's going to be right in the battle for the win every time. So, what do you think, JB?
I like that. Smart top spacover.com if you want a hot tub cover. Look, we got an ice storm here in Charlotte. There's some snow on the ground. No doubt.
You want snow getting in your hot tub?
Smart top spa cover off today. I'm sitting in the hot tub after this.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, check them out. My surprise, which actually I want to touch on the Cooper Webb thing. To me, this past weekend was two different stories about Cooper Webb. I do think he turned his riding around. He looked feisty. He looked like at one point, I'm like, he's going to the podium. Yeah. He's going to get around Eli.
Yep.
He might even get around Hunter. He might get second tonight. Like, he looked like he was riding that great. But the mistakes, I mean, how long did we go? I bet we've went a year without seeing Cooper Webb hit the deck in years past.
Straight up.
Like, he never, ever, ever makes small little mistake where he's on the ground. He's been on the ground at least once every race, the past 3 races, whether it's in the heat or in qualifying or in the main event. Like, and like you said, Chase, that one wasn't really his fault, but He was still on the ground. So I like what I had seen from Cooper this past weekend. His riding,
Me
strictly
too.
his riding. I'm like, oh, he's back.
Yep.
But once again, he gets fifth. He's 24 points down in the championship. All the guys in front of him are really, really good. And he said it. He said it was like the nail in the coffin or something. Don't quote me exactly on that. But then he did kind of go back and he'd say, oh, I didn't realize I'm still kind of in this thing. It was kind of like he was thinking one thing, but then it ended up being a different thought later on. But still, 24 points down is real after 3 rounds. And I don't see a world that we live in where Coop goes and wins 4 in a row. I just don't see it. I don't see it.
I just think if it was one guy, like if it was just Eli, say it was Eli's the only guy that's had a solid few races and he's got the lead, I think it's a little easier to imagine Eli having a bad race, having a DNF, or getting Coop back in it. But right now we have Eli, who's looking as good as he's ever been. Hunter is as good as he's ever been. Ken's right there. Sexton just got his first win, and like you said, he has the speed to go on a run. He could knock forward. So he is having to make up points on 4 guys that have been notoriously very fast and very solid. Especially Tomac and Sexton have both won this championship, have taken it down the stretch. So if it was one guy, it would be easier to get my head around.
Yeah,
but he's got to make up points on 4 different guys, which is just it's gonna be tough if you don't have the pace to go out there and win 3 or 4 races in a row.
What's up with the starts?
I don't know.
Both him and J. Coop. What's up? What's going on?
The J. Coop one is especially weird because Cooper Webb has always been in the mix off the gate. In his championship years, he's a kind of a fixture in that top 5 area where he can make some moves early and set himself up for a win. But Jay Coop, we're used to seeing him some few times a year get a couple bike length hole shot.
Right.
And he has been nowhere to be found. What's the status of, are both of those guys back on the 25 chassis?
I think J. Coop is on the 26.
Is he? Okay.
And Webb's on the 25.
I don't even really know what happened to Jay Coop this weekend other than a bad start. I don't know if he crashed or what.
That's 3 in a row for him coming.
Yeah, it wasn't good.
To the pack. Not great.
Wasn't good.
All right, my smart top surprise of the weekend. He continues to impress. He's actually unbelievable on a Supercross track. The guy's got it. He's got it, AC. When I watch him go through whoops, I'm like, that's top 3 technique here in this building. When I watch him do different things on the track, like through the sand section this weekend, he was able to jump that big mound, kind of case it, still make the inside. It's Jorge Prado, ladies and gentlemen. This dude is for real on a Supercross track.
Yeah.
He is for real. And then him throwing that big whip, last lap of the heat race.
Disgusting.
He's good.
He's
good. Maybe it shouldn't surprise me because of what happened at Anaheim, but we can all talk about Anaheim 1. Oh man, that he got beat by this much by Kenny and Eli and blah blah blah, and then he goes and doesn't do well at San Diego. But still, he's very start dependent, but I think he's going to continue to get good starts and still to be in that pack that we talked to Kenny about from 6 to 12, for him to be right behind Savatgy at the end and to get a 7th, I think you have to applaud that from where he came from 12 months ago. He surprised me this weekend. He did. And once again, when we're talking about McAdoo and those guys earlier through the whoops, our vantage point this week was right above the whoops, and we were able to see the rear end of these bikes and where their feet placement is and what they're doing with their arms. Prado's technique through the whoops is one of the best.
It is. It's so neutral. He's
so neutral and so fast. His entry speed is great. Like, he surprised me. There was a couple times over the weekend where I'm like, man, he's the real deal.
And you know what? A lot of people do when they're first learning whoops, and I think we've talked about this on the show, but they typically how you would enter a set of whoops is you kind of pick your front wheel up over the first whoop, and you set your front wheel on the third whoop in order to have enough drive, to get to the end of the whoops. And a lot of people, when they learn how to hit whoops, they pull the front wheel up too high. And then it puts so much weight on the front that you start to get this teeter-totter. And you can get through the whoops that way, but just not very fast.
Mm-hmm.
And even watching him skim whoops last year compared to this year is completely different. Like he gets his front wheel up enough, but you can tell, I don't know if he's been riding a whoop track or what, but it looks like he's been going through the whoops for 10 years. That's how much confidence he has when he enters them. And I thought, San Diego got a bad start and more or less just tried to survive the race. You could tell he really wasn't comfortable back there with those guys. And I understand, because I was a guy that got good starts a lot, and it's different. It's different when you get a mid-pack start, especially when you're not that used to Supercross yet. But I agree with you. I thought it was an impressive performance from him. Won another heat race. Looked solid doing it. Didn't look like he lucked into it at all. He was just that guy. And then in the main, similar, not a great start, but he did make some moves. Because there was a second there where I thought Kenny was going to get him. Mm-hmm. And you heard Ken talk about that. Jorge got around, I don't know if it was Malcolm or who it was, but once he got around him, dude, he actually put in a little charge towards the end of that race, got himself a gap over Kenny, and dude, solid 7th. I agree. I think much better than I was expecting. Much better. He gets these starts in the heat races, and there's nobody really, I don't know, maybe Chase sometimes, maybe Eli sometimes, but almost nobody's going to blow by the dude. Like, he looks like he belongs up front when he's there.
Yeah, with a lot of belief, right? I mean, I think if you go to the team and to Jorge before the season started and you say, hey, guys, you're going to win 2 out of the first 3 heat races. You're going to get a podium. You're going to go 3-13-7 to start the year. You got a bad start, real bad start at one of them. That's where your 13th came from. I think they sign on the dotted line.
Every time.
I mean, no brainer. So, yeah, I think he's having a great year. It's a little bit of a surprise. It probably shouldn't be. But a couple more things in the 450 class. I want to ask you something, put you on the spot. Joey Savacci gets a 6th, fresh off of his top 5 1 week ago. He's got a great team behind him, Quad Lock Honda. I'm familiar with that team, rode for them for many years. Yuriv Konski from Australia, runs the Honda Australia program and does a fantastic job. But the question is, does one of these factory teams, do they approach Joey and say, look, this is maybe the best you've been since you were on Factory Kawi years ago. He's knocking on the door, top 5s each and every week. He's qualifying well. Or if you're Joey, do you just kind of laugh it off and say, I'm good where I'm at. I'm making plenty of money with not much pressure. I'm good.
Why would you leave? Why would you leave? He's got the Yuriv. The program is it seems like it's so tailored to what the rider wants to do. Mm-hmm. In the off season, they don't do outdoors, which I don't imagine Joey's super bummed about. I don't know why he would leave. The Quad Lock Honda team, I know it's not a full factory effort, but he's clearly has everything he needs to go out there and perform really well. So I don't think you leave, dude. And I don't know Yuriv personally like you do. I've been around him a little bit here these past few months, being in Australia with you. He just seems like he's got a lot of respect for his riders. Like, where he really doesn't strike me as the guy that's really going to be talking down to anybody if they're not performing well. And I think as a rider, that's the best thing that you can ask for out of your boss. Clearly, they're getting all the support they need to go out there and be successful. Their off-season program is amazing. If I'm Joey Savacci, I tell Factory Honda or whoever to suck it. Like, I'm staying. Why not?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great debate on what you would do. I think it's a testament to how great these motorcycles are and how, if you have the right support. I was talking to Nate, who's Joey Savacci's mechanic, this weekend on Friday, and he was telling me how happy Joey is with the bike. They haven't made hardly any changes. He absolutely loves it. And speaking from a past experience, me riding for the Smart Top Honda team and Mike Genova. I had everything I needed from factory Honda. I had a transmission and a front brake. That's all I needed. I don't know what Joey's getting from them, but I was so happy and so comfortable with my motorcycle at that time. If someone had offered me a factory ride, or that year in particular, right around there, I wouldn't have taken it, just because I was fine financially, and the motorcycle and the people around me that year were just, I couldn't replace it. Didn't matter what team, what atmosphere, I could not have replaced that atmosphere. So maybe Joey's at that point right now. It's good to see, though. Cool to see him doing well.
Yeah, whatever he's doing, I think that result-wise over the past few years, I've actually been kind of surprised that Joey hasn't done this sooner, because you and I always talk about it. That guy is damn good on a motorcycle, and I love to see him having success, especially too early in the year. We still have so many people healthy, full gate, and for him to be right around that top 5, unbelievable, dude. It really is.
Yeah.
My last thing in the 450 class, I got to give a shout out to Jason Anderson. Great start. Didn't quite have it at the end, the pace those top 3 guys were going. But what I was particularly impressed with, and not surprised, because Jason is just, I don't know, authentic, I guess you would say. But Tomac knew what he was doing. Jason is a hard man to pass. Jason was riding great. So Eli made an aggressive move on him, bumped him off the track. And I was just listening to Jason's post-race press conference interview. And dude, there's nothing better than when a guy like Jason, who we know likes to get aggressive, when the same thing is done to them, when they just own it. Jason said, I would have done the same thing. And dude, I love that, because I cannot stand the guys that race everyone aggressive, and then the second you put a speck of dirt on their goggles, they lose their minds. To me, like, get those guys, I don't know, throw them out in the parking lot or something. But I love that. I love a guy that'll race someone aggressive, but if they get put down or put off the track, they just own it. They know. And I don't know, it's admirable. So shout out Jason Anderson. Is a good ride too, man. I mean, yeah, he was right there.
Yeah. Yeah, he's going to be a factor. When we talk about Webb trying to jump all these other guys, put Anderson's name in the mix.
Yeah. And
he's another one. I
really think Jason can win a race. I do.
Yeah. We started saying that, huh? Preseason,
Yeah, it might not. It's not going to be every weekend he's going to have that opportunity, but there will be tracks this season that he goes to that he gels with. And Jason's the guy, he go out there and practice, and a few laps in, he's going to know that the opportunity is tonight. Like, he just flows with the track. The body feels good. He's going to take one of these things to the end, I think. So shout out to the 21.
Detroit, if that's hard pack.
Yeah. Glendale too. Glendale.
Well.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's
Glendale
nasty.
well.
He's a good rider, man. One of the smartest
before
guys
we get
out there.
into some fan questions, shout out to our sponsors one more time, SKDA, OGO, Firepower, and Smart Top. Thank you guys for all your support. But Cole Beach, have some good fan questions this week?
Yeah, we got a handful. So first one, how do we feel about Prado getting a win this season at a Triple Crown? With his great starts and sprint speed, it doesn't seem impossible.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
That's a great point, because we've seen now 2 heat race wins. And you know what? I lived in this space, actually. I lived in that space. I would win a lot of heat races, only won one main event. Just to go the distance with guys like Filippoto and Dungy and James Stewart, those, like, I couldn't do it, obviously. But Triple Crowns, was able to win one. Several podiums during the Triple Crown format. And the track conditions are very similar to a heat race, especially that first one. That's a great point. Whoever asked that question, they're onto something. And I agree. I do think Jorge Prado could get a Triple Crown race win.
I think that based off what I've seen so far, if he gets the start in a Triple Crown and he's got like Eli and Chase right behind him, I would say the odds of winning a Triple Crown race is pretty low.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, if some things work out like that, whoever's feeling it that day, Eli, Chase, Coop, whatever, they kind of get a bad start or they make a mistake, and we know Jorge's going to be up there, he's definitely going to give himself a chance. Yeah. There's no doubt that he's going to hole shot one of these main events this weekend. You got to think through 3 rounds, he's doing better than he thought he would do, or maybe not. But the confidence is coming around. He's great in the whoops, like I said. But I would still think that it would have to be a little situational. But he absolutely could.
Okay, now next one. This is kind of an interesting one. How much do riders care about having good-looking gear? For example, Deegan's Fox gear and Sexton's A-Star gear, A2, were top tier and they won. Does it help performance mentality, or is it just lit kits for us fans?
It's a great question, Justin. I think, speaking of my generation and even the generation beneath me, I think I can pretty much blanket statement say that it does matter. You do care if you look good. If you're a Fox guy, you come into the rig every weekend, and a lot of times Fox would send me like all the races and what kit I was wearing in each race, so I knew what I was getting before I got there the last couple of years. But sometimes, like the 250 guys, they walk into the rig on Thursday or Friday and their gear is kind of laid out for them, like in their locker. And that's oftentimes in a 250 class, for me anyway, that's when I found out what kit I was wearing that weekend. And if it was sick, I was always stoked. And it was mostly always 6 because Fox does a great job. But in terms of the older generation, I don't know, JB, how much did you care?
Dude, I cared a lot.
Really?
And I have a specific story that will tell you how much I cared. 2018, with Fly Racing, still with Fly Racing today. Love them. Great people, great folks, great gear. But I had heat transfer on my jerseys, and it just didn't look great, right? That's old school.
Yeah,
heat transfer jerseys, old school.
And they get hot.
I show up to Daytona 2018. It was the first time, and typically they would debut their mesh set of gear, which is like the summer set, really thin, and great for hot weather. Daytona was always where they debuted that. Well, that was the first time I got sublimated stuff to where it was, it's integrated in the jersey for folks that are wondering.
Feels good.
And the colorway was just sick. Like everything was so good. I was so stoked on Friday at Daytona. I was so stoked. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, man, I'm so dialed in. I had my red Garnet boots to match it. Like, I was dialed, and my helmet matched just perfect with the gear they brought that weekend, and it was sublimated. It was game on.
It worked out.
Yeah, we care.
It worked
out.
That was a fun race to watch, man. I didn't even know you then, but I was jumping up and down hoping you were going to win that thing.
I appreciate it. So, yeah, we all care. It matters a lot. Probably more than people think.
Yeah.
Seriously.
So similar topic. How many rides do these guys get until they change out of their boots?
Oh, I mean, at the highest level, we can get as many pairs of boots as you want. I mean, if you want to wear a new pair of boots every race weekend, they could do that.
I guarantee you, if Chase or Eli said, I want a new pair of boots for every single time I'm on the track, they would do that. And oftentimes too, like someone will break in at Fox, Alpine Star. Someone will break in the boots for them as well. Mm-hmm. Like one of the guys that works at Alpine Star will put the boots on at the office and walk around for 6 hours with them. I think different boots last longer depending on the material, how they're made, everything. But there's always, I think, for riders, there's a sweet spot of the boot being too broken in and feeling a little soft, and the boot also being not broken enough and it being a little stiff. And so guys, once they start to feel a little soft, I think that's when they kind of make the change. But they'll never go out, maybe press day with new boots, but nobody's ever going on the track with brand new boots.
Yeah. Yep. That's exactly right. I mean, they could get as many pairs as they want, get them in the sweet spot. And a lot of times too, like Alpine Star and Fox specifically, they're matching the kits. Like you had that cool looking kit on for
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
our ride day in San Diego. The boots match the helmet, match the gear, and they're doing that a lot now. They're
Well,
really
that's
doing that a
what's
lot. Kenny
cool.
had it a couple weeks ago as well, or in San Diego, matched his whole kit. So that might be the only time he wears those boots all year long.
Do you think head to toe gear deals are more popular now?
Yeah.
Than they used to be? Because everybody's making helmets, everyone's making goggles, everyone's making boots.
Yeah.
I always loved the idea of being head to toe because you could match everything perfectly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I like that look. Yep.
So the next one's actually from a sponsor. SKDA asks, how long till we see a win from Hunter Lawrence? Put a date on it.
JB, Houston.
Triple Crown.
Shorter races, not really his deal.
That doesn't really suit when you're talking about your thing towards Hunter. It doesn't favor, like the speed thing, right? That doesn't favor a Triple Crown.
But first lap position does in a Triple Crown. He could definitely go 3-1-4 for a win, or 3-1-2, something like that.
Yeah. Yep. Is it Sam from SKDA? Was it straight from Sam?
It's just from their Moto account.
All right. Houston Supercross 2026.
Wow.
Hunter Lawrence wins.
Wow. That's crazy, dude. Ken, I'm telling Ken, dude. I'm gonna text him.
I was juggling that in my head, but they go 1-2. They go 1-2. Of course.
It's coming, I think. I would say within the next 3 or 4 races.
All right, last one. So on that same topic as well, if the lap riders weren't there, would Hunter have been able to challenge Sexton for the lead? Also, with one of them being Faulkner, an experienced 250 rider, why didn't he try it harder to get out of the way?
I'm glad we went there.
Yeah, we had this circled to talk about, actually.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't know, man. The only thing, it's difficult. It's difficult when you're out there and you're trying your best and the leaders come up on you and you're not used to that. I mean, Faulkner's a guy that's won a lot of Supercross races in the 250 class. He's not used to being in that position. But yeah, you just got to be more aware. Like my last year, I probably got lapped half the time I raced, and I would seriously go from being like 8th or 9th to like 15th every weekend because I was so scared about messing these guys' race up. So it's a fine line, and it's difficult to do it the right way. I thought Hunter definitely, he had a shot. I mean, it would have had to have been a really good last lap. But yeah, Faulkner went around the outside in that option after the finish line the last lap, and Hunter had to roll. He had to go 2-2 roll before the mechanics area, and it was over. So I don't know, JB, what do you think?
Yeah, there's no question he had a shot. No question. He was arguably the fastest guy in the whoops that whole second half of the race. So could he have put in such a surge to get close enough in the last 2 turns? Who knows? We won't be able to know. But yeah, I mean, look, I respect Austin Faulkner a ton. He's won a bunch of races. It's cool to see him. He qualified well this past weekend, but
he did, yeah.
I'm with you. You have to be more aware in that situation. And the only reason I say that is he was all by himself. And as soon as you get
17th.
17th, it's like, it's not a great result anyways. He's all by himself. As soon as Chase gets by, you have to be more aware. Whether you look back off the finish, you look back off a 3 during a rhythm, like whatever it is, now you know the leaders have caught you. And Hunter was within 2 seconds at that point. It was under 2 seconds. So that's what, 6 or 7 bike lengths? Like he's right there. And to not be aware for really half a lap, Austin took the main line and held him up. It wasn't just that one rhythm lane. It was even after that too. So it was a little frustrating, especially for us, like as fans, we're wanting to see this battle come down to the last lap. And we had just seen it happen the week before with Hunter catching Eli late. So we know he does his best work in the last few laps, and it just didn't materialize, and it was a bummer. But hopefully he's learned his lesson and kind of just be more aware next time. But I think Hunter had a shot. There's no doubt. He had a chance.
Yeah, the only thing I would say there is that it isn't as straightforward as it looks from the outside when you're racing. And I'm sure Austin, he's still getting used to the 450. The track itself, requires a lot of your focus. But at the end of the day, he was in the wrong. Like at the end of the day, especially once Chase gets by you, like on the finish line or the double before the finish line, you got to be looking around. You got to be more aware of your surroundings. I would give him maybe a little bit more of a pass if he was like battling for a top 10, but you're all alone in 17th. Dude, pull over, like go off the side of the track, let him by.
Yeah, I agree. Is that it, Cole?
That's it. And on that topic, I did just see Austin made a post. He said that he was battling with Shane and saw the red fender, so he believed that Hunter was Shane out there, and that he didn't want to necessarily give up the position. But
okay, yeah, I guess maybe, maybe.
Yeah, I still think you got to be more. You got to be a little more aware. But it happens. It happens. Austin's a great rider. Yeah, I'm a fan of Austin. We've all been there. It happens. All good.
Yeah. We did get a little breaking news during the show. Honda posted Chance Hymas likely to miss the next 3 races.
No.
Dislocated his shoulder. Alpine Star Mobile Medical Unit put it back in for him, getting checked out, and will likely miss at least a few races. So
that sucks.
Bummer.
But because what is crazy too is that Hymas he always seems like he rides pretty well within himself. He's got good technique, ultra talented on the bike. So it's like, why do these things happen?
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know. I guess that's just a life mystery. If
he makes that crazy good save 1 week ago.
Bailed himself
down
out.
The first turn, not his fault at all.
And kind of a small crash too.
Yeah.
Bummer.
Dang it.
Well, get well soon. Get well soon, Chance. It's a tough. I feel for any of these guys that go down at really bad times. This would have been a really big step for Chance to have a consistent, solid Supercross season. But the kid's definitely got talent. He's going to keep trying.
Yeah, he's got skills, no doubt.
Well, JB, great show.
Wrap.
Yeah, stoked. Triple Crown this weekend, and also getting on my first flight. I think I'm flying Southwest or something.
Oh, come on.
It was the only one that was direct.
Oh, okay.
I lost my Delta Diamond status last year. So we're
really, even with the Australia trip.
Yeah, I believe so. I came up very short. I should have just flown to, I don't know, Montana or something. But
Charlotte. Come visit your friend.
Charlotte, yeah, true. I could stay in that hotel down the road.
Hotel down the road's got plenty of openings.
Awesome. Well, thanks everyone. Thanks our listeners for supporting the show. We appreciate you guys. Triple Crown race coming up. JB, let's go.
Let's do it. Thanks, y'all.